Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or good morning if you are in the Americas, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome to today's SRT Webinar Series, Study in the UK. We have two universities, wonderful universities that are presenting today about their programs and generally about studying in the UK as well. Joining us from Coventry University is Nasrin Akhtar, International Officer for Europe, and from Lancaster University, we have Chris Culling, Regional Officer as well. They will be sharing with you at first a presentation about studying in the UK, as well as presenting their universities. Please interact in the chat box where my colleague Atanas is moderating the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from today. And at the end, we will have 10-15 minutes for question and answer sessions. So please do share with us any questions you might have. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Nasrin.
Hi.
Hi there.
Let's just slide back to the first. Sorry. There we are.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do right now is just give you about a 15-minute overview about studying in the UK before diving into our respective universities. So just to give you an idea of how things are looking, we're going to talk about an introduction to the UK. We're going to talk about CASs and visas, accommodation and funding, and then Nasrin's going to talk to you a bit about applying to university through UCAS and writing a personal statement. And then talk about studying at Coventry, studying at Lancaster, and then at the end we'll come back for any questions you might have as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them either during the presentation or at the end as well. So just to give you a little bit of perspective, just some broad strokes about the UK. In the UK, we have 170 universities, all providing a wide variety of university experiences and also degree types as well. We've got 2.66 million students, and of those, about 600,000 are international students. So as a country, we take on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students every year from all around the world. So we're a very, very welcoming country. Most of our undergraduate courses are 3 years in length. So generally starting in September and October, and the academic year finishes around May, June. And then we've also got a wide variety of courses as well. So some universities will offer upwards of 200 different courses across the arts, sciences, medicine, law, history, pretty much everything. So some universities you'll find are more specialized, but generally speaking, your larger universities will have a massive, massive breadth of courses for you to engage with. So just a bit about the UK itself. So we're quite a small country in terms of area, but we've got a high density of cities, which makes traveling between them quite easy. We've got a rail structure which connects all the major cities. We've also got quite a large number of airports as well to help you travel not just around the UK, but also around the world too. And because it's quite a small country in size, you're never more than a few hours from an airport, which can take you literally across the world. We've got national parks and areas of outstanding national beauty, such as the Lake District. I'll talk to you a bit more about that specific place in the Lancaster presentation. We've also got the Scottish Highlands, where the image at the top there was taken, and the Cotswolds as well, which is near Oxford. Lots of beautiful rolling hills, forests, lakes, coastline, and just fantastic scenery all around. But alongside that, we've also got rich history and culture in our cities, such as London, Manchester, Edinburgh, and smaller ones such as, Lancaster, Norwich, all around the world. And all of these cities, whether they've got a population of 11 million or 11,000, have a really great history that you can tap into. And there's always things to do outside of the university experience as well. There's also a lot of cultural and geographical diversity. The UK is quite a diverse country in terms of our outlooks. And because of that, I think it kind of like benefits us, making us extremely welcoming. But then also in terms of like a geographical diversity, as I was saying as well, if you want to kind of like go and study by the coast, you can. If you want to like live in a major city, that's also feasible. So one thing that I get asked about quite a bit are CASs and visas. And what I'd like to do really with this slide is kind of dispel some of the things you might have heard and hopefully show you that actually it's a relatively simple process. So for all programs over 6 months, and again, remembering that most of our courses are about 3 years in length, most of you will be applying for courses over 6 months, international students will require a student visa. So how do you go about this? Well, once you've been accepted an unconditional offer, you'll be provided with a CAS, which is a confirmation of acceptance of studies number. You can then use this number to apply for a Tier 4 student visa. Now, universities all have dedicated teams to help you through this process. Again, we take on, like as a country, we've got about 600,000 international students. The vast majority of these students will have had to go through our visa process. So we've got teams dedicated who've helped all these students in the past, and they're well equipped to help you. So if you do have any queries, then the university you're applying to will be able to help you out. So, and just another thing about accommodation. So, in general, most universities provide accommodation for first-year students. In second and third year, students tend to stay in private accommodation. So that might be like away from the university itself. Although sometimes you will have the opportunity, if you like, to stay in university accommodation throughout the entirety of your degree. One thing to be aware of is that accommodation fees usually aren't included in your tuition fees. So you do have to factor them in as an additional cost. And one last thing as well is bearing in mind what sort of accommodation and what sort of university feel you'd like. And there are two main types in the UK. We've got city and campus universities. So with city, the accommodation and the university itself tends to be built straight into the city itself. So there isn't like a discrete barrier, really. Whereas campus universities like Lancaster, the university, all of its accommodation, all of its shops, hairdressers, restaurants will be on one location. And that's the university campus rather than being built into the city itself. Okay. And the last thing that I'm really going to touch on, fees and funding. So UK universities charge an annual fee for each year of tuition. This varies between institutions and courses. However, payments can often be split over the year. Sometimes there are scholarships and part-time work available. With regards to scholarships, these are always best to check on the university website itself or speak with a member of the team. And one thing that we do recommend just before you start up is opening an international bank account before arrival, just because it can take several weeks to open a UK bank account once you're here. But that's still like a relatively easy process, and there are people in place to help you through that once you're here in the UK. So I'm just going to hand over to Nazrin now, and I'll see you for the Lancaster presentation in a bit.
Great, thank you, Chris. Can I just check my mic's working? Everything's okay?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
Perfect, thank you. So my name's Nazrin. I'm going to be covering a little bit about applying to university, a bit about the UCAS process, and so on. So you'll be applying most likely to universities through the UCAS hub. So this is a little bit, this is just a screenshot as to what it looks like. You're more than welcome to have a browse yourself. The website is ucas.com. You can actually use the website as a very, very good tool because you can search for all kinds of courses that are offered all over the UK. There's, Chris may have mentioned there's about 50,000 different courses you can choose from across 170 different institutions. So it's it's a very good tool because everything is in one space. In terms of the application process, it looks like a simple form. So you will be required to fill in your personal details, as well as contact, residency details, and so on. The part of the application that you will spend the longest time on is probably the personal statement. So you can see there's quite a bit of sections to fill out. It's very, very important to take your time to fill out each of the sections, because any errors will essentially mean the universities that you apply for will chase you for corrections. And we at Coventry would want all of your applications processed in an efficient manner. So just make sure you do read through the form properly. Just some top tips: where you are expected to put in your education, so the history of your qualifications. Try and ensure that you type it out exactly as it is written on your certificate, on your qualification, just because we've had plenty of applications come through where it's incomplete. So it's not clear to us exactly how to check for the UK equivalents, how much points it's worth, what the grades are, what the scores are, and so on. So supporting information, this is an important part of the application that a lot of students miss out. You can see there's some examples in the drop-down list there. This is an important section to fill out because if you do have any learning difficulties, any mental health conditions, or any other circumstances, it's really important that you do let the universities know. I just want to confirm that this in no way influences the outcome of your application. This is so we can ensure that we have the support services in place, especially if you are applying for an interviewing course. So it's just to make sure that we can help you and support you through the application process. A lot of students wrongly assume that if they do put down any learning difficulties or disabilities, it's taken as a negative. That is not the case at all. We've found in just the last academic year, we've had quite a few students that had dyslexia, for example, and they didn't list that, and then afterwards we found out later on during the course of the application, and we just wish we could have supported them much earlier. So you would add your choices in. If you have just the one choice, you do pay a lower fee compared to if you wanted a second, third, fourth, or 5 choices. You can technically apply to 5 different courses at 5 different universities. However, what would catch you out is, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. What would catch you out is your personal statement or motivational letter, as I know it's referred to as some countries. It's so important that you choose courses that are similar. So I personally wouldn't recommend choosing more than 2 different courses, because in your personal statement, you would have to demonstrate passion, skill set, evidence of why you want to study those courses. After you've submitted your application, it's important for me to state that it does not come to the university straight away. Your school tutors, counsellors, whoever's in charge of UCAS would need to attach a reference before it's submitted and finally goes to UCAS before it comes to us. We do have a lot of students who have submitted and paid for their application, then contact us asking for an update, but we haven't received it. So please do check with your counsellors and tutors if it has been sent to UCAS, because only then can universities provide you with an update, because it would have reached us by that point. So a bit about university decisions. Once you've submitted your application, if you're not going for an interviewing course, you can be offered a conditional offer, an unconditional offer, an alternative, or you might have an unsuccessful application. So conditional offer means it will have conditions attached. This is fairly common because you might still be completing your high school or college qualifications. It's very rare that an unconditional offer is given at Coventry University because there'll always be a condition attached, such as paying your deposit. But that's not to say that the qualifications you've already achieved would be listed in the offer. An alternative, sometimes we do offer an alternative if we see at Coventry University that you've not quite met the entry requirements for your course choice. And in terms of unsuccessful applications, this sometimes could be because you don't have the background knowledge, or you haven't chosen one of the prerequisites. So, for example, for physiotherapy, you would need sciences. Again, it's very rare you'd be unsuccessful because there's always alternatives that they can offer you. You have 3 decisions that you can make: your firm choice, your insurance choice, which is your backup in case you don't get into your firm, or you can decline. So if you've chosen 5 options, you would choose 1 as your firm, 1 as your insurance, and then you decline the other 3. A little bit about the personal statement. So a personal statement is essentially all about you. Where has your passion come from? Why do you want to study the course that you've applied for? What kind of skills do you have that relate to the course, that show the admissions tutor that you will succeed on the course? We want to know about your work experience. This doesn't have to be a part-time job. If you've supported any events at your high school, if you've supported any of the younger years, if you've supported on like open evenings, anything you've done at school can count as work experience. If you've taken on extra projects, extracurricular activities, or you're part of a club, they all count as experience. The amount of students I've spoken to across European countries where they've said to me they have 0 experience, and then I find out they actually have a lot of experience. We would want it to be relevant to the courses that you're applying for, and just bear in mind it is kind of like a motivational cover letter. We've had some where it's like an essay. That is not what it's meant to be. It's essentially about you telling us why you are the best person for the course. A personal statement is roughly 47 lines, which is approximately 500 words. So you have a sheet of A4 to essentially persuade us why we should select you for the course. These are the things you would mention in your personal statement. So obviously what course you're applying for and why, what current subjects are you studying that link to the course. Experience and skills will form the largest section of your personal statement. And if you wanted to include any hobbies, extracurricular interests and activities, you're more than welcome. So are we going over to Lancaster University for the next section?
No, actually, I have on the script that you'll be doing the next as well. So we'll play a video right now. We'll be playing a short video of Coventry, and then we'll load your presentation as well.
Thank you. Hello, I'm back again. Okay, so that was a very short video about Coventry University. I'm pleased to be presenting from our law courts on campus. So without further ado, why should you be considering Coventry University? We are a teaching focused university. All of our courses are employability focused. So you would essentially get real skills from all of the courses. As you can see, I am in the law court, so a lot of our law students do practice debating, mooting, as they call it from this site. Every single one of our courses is taught at state-of-the-art modern facilities. I do have some pictures to show you, so you can have a look for yourself. Like I said, we are very employability focused. So it's all good and well leaving a university with a wonderful, shiny degree. However, at Coventry University, we would consider that as probably one of our failures. We would want you to leave not only with a wonderful certificate, but also with the skill set and the experience to succeed in your career choice. So we are joint top modern university for career prospects. Majority of our students are in further work or further studies within 6 months, and that is something we're incredibly proud about. As part of our course, we have trips and travel. So there's some field trips that you will have to pay a small cost for, but the vast majority of the ones that are part of the course are mandatory, which means we would provide, we would cover the costs for it. We are the #1 university for 6 years running to have sent the most students overseas. So not only do our students leave with a wonderful degree plus real life experience associated with their career, but they also have at least one international experience. And that is something that we feel makes our graduates stand out from the crowd and other competitors. So yeah, as I said, first in the UK for overseas student experiences. So a lot of these student experiences do tend to be related to the degree. However, it is up to the student what they wanted to do. So one of my mechanical engineering students, he went on a construction related work experience. However, he also was able to volunteer with endangered tigers in Tanzania. And hand on heart, most of the interviews he's gone to, they ask about the tigers, which I think is just incredible, but it just goes to show that he does stand out from the crowd compared to other students from the same degree that only have construction related experiences, for example. So in terms of our course resource and facilities, jumping ahead again. In terms of our course resource and facilities, every single degree has its own state-of-the-art facility. So you can see in the picture there, we've got a Harrier jump jet in our basement of our engineering building. I don't know of any other university that has a real plane in the basement of their engineering building. In terms of our health, our nursing students, our midwifery students, they are in a state-of-the-art health and science building. Something I'm incredibly proud of was during the pandemic, our university building was on standby for our local hospitals. So what that meant was if the local hospitals were if they were filled to capacity, our university building could have been used because the wards, the theatres, they are all real. So if someone needed life-saving surgery at the hospital and all the theatres were full at the hospital, they could have carried out that operation on site. I think we are also one of 2 universities to have real-life houses in one of our buildings to support our occupational therapy students with learning how to support their patients when they do start work with adapting to their house and so on. So we are a relatively young city. In the promo video you would have seen, we are right in the middle of England. We are known as the heart of England, about an hour away from London. We are top 5 UK student city. So what that means is we have a young population, and there's always things to do in the city centre. My colleague Chris mentioned about city centre universities and campus-based universities. I think Coventry falls outside of that because we're both, which doesn't quite make sense. But our campus buildings are kind of in a circle. So the furthest you would have to walk from one building to, for example, the centre of campus would be about 15 minutes. There's plenty of cafes, restaurants, bars all around the city centre just because we have a lot of students. We are proud to have our Flying Start scheme. So what that means is you won't have to pay for anything extra as part of your compulsory materials. So you'd pay for your tuition fees and your accommodation fees, but all of your course books, if you need laptops or specialist software or things like that, we would provide them for you for free, and you get to keep hold of them. So some of our games technology and computer science students, for example, would be given a laptop with all of the state-of-the-art software already purchased for them and already loaded onto laptop, and they can keep that after they graduate. It's theirs. So this is something, again, it's quite rare from a university because there's always going to be extra costs with books and resources and so on, but you wouldn't have have to worry about that at Coventry University. So you can study at more than one location. So it's just going back to the point of whether we're a city centre or a campus-based university. So most of our campuses are either in Coventry or in London. We have 4 sites in London. The difference between the locations is obviously where they are, but also they offer a variety of courses. So our London campuses tend to offer more of our specialised courses. So Coventry University London would offer our global business and finance degrees, for example. So each location is specific to what kind of course it offers, and it might also be a different way of learning. So Coventry University, Coventry campus follows the traditional model of 3 to 4 modules per semester, and then you might have a mixture of assessments, whether they're lab reports, presentations, or exams. But our CU campuses, for example, it's more flexible, blended learning, and you'll have an assessment at the end of each module, so there's no end of year exams. So different campuses have different offerings. So city centre campus experience. So we are 10 minutes away from Birmingham Airport via train. So one of the beautiful things about Coventry City Centre is you don't actually need to book a taxi or an Uber to get around. Everything is within walking distance. So if you were to land at Birmingham Airport, you can jump on the train, 10-minute train ride, and then it will be a 10 to 15-minute walk to your accommodation block. So you could do all of that without booking an Uber. All of our buildings, as I mentioned before, are within 5 to 10-minute walk of one another. The furthest point on campus is about a 15-minute walk away. We are a top 3 student city in England. So again, what that means is it's relatively cheap to live here because of our wonderful student population. And just, like I said previously, there's always something to do. Us being top 5 and top 3 here, it was voted by QS. So this isn't something that we had anything to do with. It was the students that ranked us and voted us. So again, it's reassuring to know that our students, think highly of us. So what can you do in Coventry? Well, we were recently awarded the City of Culture. So what that meant was we had a year long of cultural events, which just showcased just how diverse Coventry is. We have students here from, I think there's about 190 different countries in the world. We have students from 150, so we've done very well to represent most of the world. So as well as wonderful festivals, art exhibitions, and so on, there's plenty of places to eat, and they're all student friendly. In terms of the student experience, there's multiple societies you can join. We have almost 100. If there is a society that students wanted to create, you would only need 5 members, and then you get a nice little budget from the president of the Students' Union, and then you can, like I said, set up your own society and just do activities you would like to do. So we have the faith societies, we have the sports societies, we have weird and wonderful ones, such as there was an adrenaline society that would look to do skydiving and things like that. We did have a hide and seek society in previous years where the students would dress in their ambassador uniform, which at the time was bright green, and they would hide around the city centre trying looking for one another. If there was a particular TV show or something you're interested in, again, you can create a society for it. So as well as meeting with students from your course, as well as meeting with students from your course, you can meet with new people that are, from your accommodation block or through like-minded interests. So if sports was your thing, we do have plenty of sports societies, and you would be able to join our university team. We do play against other university teams as well. If anyone here is playing sports at a regional or national level, or maybe they compete, you would also be eligible to apply for a sports scholarship.
Nasrin, can I drop in with one question right now? Because there was exactly on this topic Ivan had asked earlier. Do you offer any sports scholarship? Is it possible to apply with it? Okay,
Yes.
if you can.
So we do have a sports scholarship. Please do go on our website for because I think there's 3 different levels of scholarships that's awarded. So one of the criteria is you would need to have played sports either regionally in your local area or nationally or competitively. There's a vast majority of sports that are included. The basic rule is if we have a team that, Coventry University has a team for it, then it should be okay, but the website has just recently been updated, so I strongly advise you do check out the website for what exactly you can be awarded. In terms of our courses, we are split across 4 faculties. So we have business and law. I'm currently in our law school, and then engineering, environment and computing. We have health and life sciences, as well as arts and humanities. You can see some pictures there of just, the facilities we have. And like I mentioned, it's very, very modern. With regards to arts and humanities, so we had the BBC, so that's the British Broadcasting Corporation, I believe. They're very, very well known worldwide. We had them on campus to deliver a workshop for our media students, and even they were very, very surprised with our facilities, to the point they said it's better than what they have at their offices. And that's a huge compliment to Coventry University. However, it did create a state of panic for our academics, because then they spent their summer going on eBay, AliExpress, trying to find old, outdated equipment, just so they could ensure their students were experienced with both modern, state-of-the-art, as well as analog equipment, analog old equipment, so they'd be suitable for the world of work. In terms of study facilities, here's just some pictures. You can see a lot of our students do work collaboratively. So just going back to the plane, that's in the basement of our engineering building. Our automotive, motorsport, mechanical, and our software engineering students all have access to this. We also have our flight simulators and our wind tunnel for the motorsport engineers right next to the plane. So it's very rare that our students are just, this might be a British phrase, but pigeonholed and just put into a box. They're able to work with students on other courses and hence develop life skills that they probably wouldn't get unless they're in the world of work. So it's all good studying and, getting those amazing grades. It's very, very important to look after your health and well-being. So we have an on-site gym, which students are more than welcome to book on or get a membership and, use the facilities. We also have amazing student support. So as well as having Flying Start, we have Sigma, which is our math support, academic writing, which is our tutors that will support you with writing essays, and will help you proofread and so on. We have our talent team, which are basically our employability team. They are the people that will send you so many emails about all of the voluntary opportunities, the part-time jobs, the work experiences. If anyone here is considering taking a year out of their degree, so a sandwich course, that's the team that will support you with your placement. We have over 3,500 connections with employers. That's just connections, that's not jobs. So our talent team are incredibly supportive of our students. Student success coaches is probably one of our most newest and one of our most successful, I would say. So we are the only university to have something like this in place. So from day one of you starting your degree all the way up until you graduate, you will be assigned a student success coach. I like to refer to them as a professional buddy. So what that means is you will have direct access to them. You will have their email address, their work mobile number. You can contact them with any time about anything. If you wanted help with contacting a certain lecturer, a certain service, or maybe you just wanted to meet up with them for a coffee and just scream about how much you hate your assignment, they are there to support you to ensure that you are successful throughout the course of your degree. A lot of universities will offer peer mentoring, so the third year students mentor the first year, but we didn't think that was enough. And given the pandemic and a lot of students having to learn virtually, our student success coaches are there to essentially hold your hand throughout the course of your degree. Student accommodation. Bear in mind that Depending on which city you go to, costings will be different. So obviously, if you choose to study and live in London, it will be far more expensive than choosing to study in Coventry, for example. All of our accommodation is en suite. So what that means is you'll have your own bedroom, your own shower, and your own toilet and sink, and a little desk as well for study area. In terms of kitchen and social space, you would share them. However, there's plenty of space for you to have your own space. It's not cramped or anything like that. Accommodation at Coventry is very, very safe and secure. You get either a blank card or a key fob, and only you can access all the way up to your door. So you wouldn't be able to enter the building without this card. And let's say you are in Block A, Room 1. Your card will only allow you to access Block A. You wouldn't be able to access Block B and vice versa. If you were to lose your card or your key fob, it's not marked, so no one would know that it belonged to you. Our accommodation does have a reception desk. However, it's not manned 24/7, but our protection team are around 24/7. We have a safety app. In the 5 years I've been on campus, working for Coventry, I've never needed to use the safety app, but it's nice to know it exists, where you'll just press a button on the app and security will come to you straight away. So it is a very safe city to be in. Here are my details. I believe the slides and this webinar will be shared. Feel free to contact me for any questions, queries, but I will now pass over to my colleague Chris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nasrin, for this wonderful presentation on Coventry. Nasrin will be back with us shortly after Chris's presentation, and we'll answer some questions as well. So welcome again, Chris. We'll hear a short video.
Okay, thank you very much, Nasrin. Hi again, everyone. So I'm just going to take you through some slides just detailing the Lancaster University experience. So this is our campus. So yeah, like in contrast to Coventry, we're very much like a campus university. So if you are looking for kind of like the big city life, we don't provide that at Lancaster. What we do provide, though, is access to big green spaces. So if you're an outdoorsy person, then Lancaster is absolutely perfect for you. Now this campus that you can see here, just to give you an idea of like just how big it is, it's in the region of about 5,000 football pitches. It's about 560 acres. It's absolutely huge. There's a beautiful kind of like trail that goes around the outside called the Trim Trail. It's about 2.5 miles of a woodland walk. So it's absolutely fantastic. We've got sheep, ducks, lots of wildlife. It's absolutely great for it. But we're also not too far from the city centre as well. It's just a short 10-minute bus ride from the town centre itself. Okay, so Lancaster is an international university. We've got students from over 100 countries, and over half of our staff are actually from overseas. We've also got a global network of alumni across 148 countries. So wherever you're tuning in from, chances are that you've got like Lancaster alumni in your country at the moment. Okay. So a big focus here for Lancaster is your career. We want to give you the skills kind of like necessary to succeed in the world of work once you finish your degree. So what we do once you've graduated, we give you a lifetime of career support. So whether it's been like 7 years or like 7 days or 20 years from when you've graduated from us, we will have a career support team there for you. with specialist career consultants. And that doesn't matter if you're working in the UK or if you're working in China or any country in between. We will be there for you. We also offer work experience and placement opportunities with world-leading companies. These can be in the form of a sandwich year. For a lot of our courses between years 2 and 3, we'll help you get a paid job for that year. But then you can also take internships as well throughout your course if you'd like to maybe do something over the summer and get that experience there. We've got the Lancaster Award too, where you can combine maybe some voluntary work with work that you're doing at Lancaster. And you can also connect with employers on campus at mentoring sessions, workshops, and fairs as well, where employers come to the university with the idea of kind of like meeting students who they think would fulfill their roles really well. So, like alongside that support, we also offer support as students. Not just that, but also making sure that your well-being is kind of like at the top of our list as well. So for that, we have a multi-faith chaplaincy center. So whatever your faith, or if you're of no faith, then this is a building where you can go and just get support, whatever your problems are. We've got medical and health services. We've actually got a doctor's clinic on campus, counselling, learning support, academic department support, college advisors as well, welfare officers. So loads and loads of people who are out there to kind of like make your life as, you know, as easy as possible, really. Because we get it, like university can be a tough time. Like it can be quite daunting. So when you start up, it's good to know you've got this support network here to help you. Okay, so at the heart of Lancaster is our college experience. So we've got 8 different undergraduate colleges, and these are where you'll be living in your first year, but they also all have their own like individual sports and quiz teams, and there's a little bit of a rivalry that goes on between them all. I myself, because all staff members are also assigned, I'm a member of Grisdale College. I'd like to say we're the best at sports, but we unfortunately lost a sports match quite recently, so what can you do? But yeah, they're all named after local places in Lancaster and local images and local imagery based around it as well. So yeah, like it says here, kind of like you do breakfasts, trips away, college rivalries as well. So loads and loads of stuff. And it's a really good way to like make friends kind of like right out the bat. So you'd be there with people from all different courses and all different kind of like walks of life as well. So like Coventry, we also have societies and sports clubs as well. So we've got over 200 different clubs and societies. So sports clubs, academic societies, volunteer societies, if you like music, dance, acting, film, just about anything. And, you know, as well, if you wanted to set up your own society, you can do that too. And one of the biggest fixtures that we have each year is Roses. So we have a rivalry with the University of York. It's based on the historical War of the Roses, which took place hundreds of years ago. And basically, it's almost like a mini Olympics, where over about 50 different sports and about 2,500 students get involved in total. And they all play against each other in like American football, archery, running, rugby, tennis, skiing, everything. And this year we hosted it and we won. So next year we're hoping to go over to York and win again, which is a lot more difficult, but you know what? I think we might just do it. But yeah, if you're at all sporty, it's a great thing to get involved with. Even if you're not, it's a great atmosphere to go and cheer on your classmates. So the City of Lancaster. So again, we're a 10-minute bus ride. We've got buses leaving from the center of campus every 10, 15 minutes or so. So about a 10-minute bus ride from the City of Lancaster, or about a half-hour walk. The city itself has a castle, loads of pubs, loads of like cute little coffee shops as well. And it's fantastic for kind of like exploring the student environment. There's actually another university as well, and we share the biggest nightclub in the town. So it's a great kind of like safe, welcoming environment there. We're also close to like other big cities such as Liverpool and Manchester. We've got direct train links to them as well. So you can be in kind of like these other massive northern cities within about an hour or so. We're also on a direct train line to Edinburgh and to London too. So you can be in London within about 2.5 hours. So yeah, we've got our 11th century castle, museums, loads of different types of architecture, independent theatres, live music. We had a music festival, which drew in about 70,000 people a couple of months ago. As well as that, about a fifth of the local population are students. So you're always kind of like running into other students as well, which really makes it feel like quite a young, up and coming city. And again, like I was saying, we're really well connected to the rest of the UK. So beyond the city, so we mentioned earlier kind of like different areas of beauty around the UK. Well, Lancaster's half an hour away from the Lake District. So this is a fantastic place filled with about over 200 different mountains and obviously lakes. So it's great for hiking, kayaking, a lot of kind of like inspirational British authors either did their work or are actually from the Lake District as well. For those of you who like history, it's fantastic for that. And it's got lots of really cute little like pubs and cafes. One of my favorite things about it is that there's always people taking their dogs out for a walk. And as a big dog fan, it's always great to go and kind of like spot which breeds are out and about. But yeah, it's a really, really lovely time. So even if you don't have a car, there's a direct train up there to a little town called Windermere. And from there, you can access the rest of the lakes as well. So if you're at all outdoorsy, it's a fantastic place to be. Cool. So that wraps things up. So again, here are some useful links as well, just to get in contact with members of our team as well.
Lovely, Chris. Indeed, beautiful scenery. It's amazing colors, I assume, especially in the fall season. I'd like to welcome Nasrin back on stage as well. We've had quite a few questions coming in, so we have about 10, 12 minutes to go over some of those. All right, let's get started. Tracy is asking, if they finish school in December, do they need to wait until September to be accepted? Is there any intakes in January or February, for example?
So at Coventry University, at Coventry University, we have January intake and May intake. It could be for the course that you're interested in, there's more intakes. So at Coventry, you wouldn't have to wait until September, but again, it depends what course you're interested in, because there are a select few courses that have September only intakes. Chris? What about Lancaster?
Yep. So the vast majority of our courses are September intake. If you've already got your grades, then our admissions team will be able to get back to you though and provide you, assuming that you've met the grades and the qualifications, we'd be able to provide you with an unconditional offer. But yeah, the vast majority of our courses are September intake only.
Okay, all right, thank you. You did mention a little bit about work opportunities. Jane is asking, can international students work after graduating, and how would that work with visas?
Are you okay if I take this one?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, cool. So there's a thing called a graduate visa. So basically the way that it works is once you've finished your course and you'd like to stay in the UK and work, you can do so for 2 years. So you have to do that whilst your current visa is like a tier 4 or a student visa. And you can do that once you've successfully completed your course. So your education provider, so your university, would then tell the Home Office that you've completed your course. And then they'd be able to grant you a graduate visa, which gives you access to 2 years of working in the UK. And from there, you might be able to apply for additional visas, such as the skilled worker one. But the graduate visa is kind of like the main method to go. But yeah, that gives you 2 years of access. All
right. There's a question from Arijan for Coventry. Arijan wants to study to be a surgeon. Is there opportunities in Coventry for that?
So at Coventry, we don't offer medicine. or dentistry. We offer the vocational subjects. So we'd offer biomedical science and, the biological sciences, forensic sciences, and so on. Chris, does Lancaster offer medicine?
We do offer medicine. So it's a really good course. It's 2 years of academia followed by 3 years working in hospitals. It is very, very competitive to get onto. And we do have limited places, unfortunately. However, definitely worth a shot at looking at ourselves and like other universities around the UK, because there are different ways of kind of like teaching medicine. Some of them are more problem-based learning, and then some of them are a bit more academic. But I would always recommend getting in touch with the universities, asking them about their courses, and then reaching out and seeing what like the things that are best for you in your application. So I would always recommend getting work experience because these courses are so competitive. It's great to have work experience under your belt if that's at all within your means at the moment.
Okay, Luis asked us about the foundation year, since you both mentioned. So can you explain a little bit more? What is the foundation year, and is it necessary for everybody to take? So in what cases would it be?
So at Coventry University, we have 2 types of foundations. So one is a foundation year that is used as a stepping stone to get onto the degree. So let's say, for example, you have only selected arts, humanities-based subjects, no sciences, but you really want to study biomedical science. That is where a foundation year will come into into consideration, because a foundation year will allow you to have the science content needed to get onto the bioscience or biomedical science degree. We also have foundation degrees. So these might be suitable for someone who maybe they've had some time out of academia, or maybe they've missed out on the entry requirements. So then they could potentially be offered a foundation degree that will act as a top up to their grades. So then they'll be allowed to proceed with their degree. At Coventry, we assess every single application on its merits. So I would still say, if you see you are slightly below the entry requirements, to still apply, because if you have an amazing personal statement, the admissions tutor might just make a decision based on your personal statement and your work experience and so on. So in short, you may not necessarily need to apply for a foundation degree or a foundation year to get onto the degree of your choice.
Chris,
what about Lancaster?
Would you like to add anything?
Yep, and it's a similar process here at Lancaster as well. So the foundation degrees aren't always required, but they are sometimes a way of kind of like again acting as a stepping stone into that degree. Speaking from my own personal experience, at university, I actually shared a house with somebody who did a foundation year. Found it very, very useful, and then by the time that she finished her actual entire course, she was near the top of her year. So they're very, very useful courses to do.
Okay, we have a question coming from Aidana. She's still in 9th grade, but very much keen on studying in the UK. And she wanted to ask about the personal statement, especially since she'll be in high school for another few years. How can she get the experience that you need to include in the statement? So what do you value the most, and what would you encourage her?
So I personally would work backwards. So if she has a career or a course in mind, start looking at what skills you need to succeed on that degree or in that career, and start building up your work experiences. Every single degree will require you to have amazing communication skills, organizational skills, and time management skills. So whatever work experience you go forward with, you will have those 3 skills. Given that you are in grade 9, I would recommend to see whether you can support your teachers in any way. A lot of our students, they have supported their teachers with class duties, or maybe you have open evenings or parents evenings where parents come in. If you can support those events in any way, that counts as work experience. If you have any members of the family that are allowed to take you in for half a day to their office work environment, that counts as work experience. This webinar, believe it or not, counts as experience. You could mention in your personal statement that you attended a webinar that discussed what it's like studying in the UK. So this shows that you are going out of your way getting experience. During the pandemic, a lot of companies put on virtual work experiences where you might log in for an hour or two, have a discussion with people that are very well advanced in their career. There's so many experiences out there. It's a shame that a lot of students think you need to get a job for it to count as experience.
Lots of volunteering, I would assume, volunteering, extracurricular clubs, which a lot of schools offer.
Yes, yeah. If you're doing extra tuition, the fact that that shows you're committed and dedicated to your studies. Again, look at all of the skills I'm throwing out. If you're taking part in any extracurricular clubs, if there's anything you're doing to support the younger years. So in the UK, some of the high school, college students will set up a reading club. And they'll ask the younger years to pick a book, and they'll sit and take turns to read the book. It sounds so simple, but look at the skill set: leadership, using your initiative, having a regular, consistent, commitment to that. Again, it's very easy to get experience, and your school will be more than happy to support you.
Sure, yeah. Chris, there was a question specifically for Lancaster from Aldred. Is it possible to visit the university during the summer? I guess like in some form of open house or any way to visit the university to get a bit of a feel on the ground?
Yes, absolutely. In some ways, summer's like a really good time to do that. We're still open as a campus during summer. So to do that, if you email like our welcome team, or even like with those links that you saw earlier in the presentation, then we'll get back in touch with you. And generally speaking, you'd start off your day with a conversation, probably with myself or a member of our team in the international office. You'd then be led on a campus tour by one of our student ambassadors who'd be able to give you the student experience. And then you'd probably like meet with an academic member of staff who's actually based in an area that you're interested in. So you'd be able to get the whole student experience of like speaking to an international officer, speaking to a student ambassador, and then also speaking with an academic member of staff. So it can give you a really, really good feel for it as well. And it's a great way as well to like experience the city too. So yeah.
Actually, on the question of the foundation year, Luisa asked a follow-up question. Does that require a separate admission process? Is it hard to get in? Is it harder, or is it the same application process as for a regular program?
At Coventry, at Coventry, it's exactly the same process. The entry requirements will be slightly lower than a degree. But at Coventry, what I would recommend is you apply for the degree anyway, because we would offer you an alternative to your degree. So it could be we offer you a different course that you meet the entry requirements for, or we offer you the foundation. Whereas if you apply for the foundation directly, we can't upgrade you unless you tell us otherwise. So at Coventry, I would always say apply for the degree, and then you'd either get admission onto the degree because the course tutor wanted to accept you based on your personal statement, or you'd get offered an alternative anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, same here.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. And we have time for, I think, one more. Dino asked about the IBDP program. So do you accept? I assume you do accept IB. What are the advantages? And if you have the IB diploma program.
So we accept it. It's actually one of the qualifications that I come across like the most frequently in my role. So yeah, absolutely fine to apply with the IBDP. It's a really, really useful qualification to have. You'll see like on most university websites will kind of like have the qualifications they require, both for specific courses, but also international equivalencies as well. The IB is usually kind of like sat straight under A levels. So yeah, it's really, really useful. Just a heads up though, some subjects, not all, but some subjects, so for example, engineering, will require you to have like specific subjects in your IB. So for example, we'd need for engineering, maths at higher level, and I think physics. So yeah, always worth checking which subjects you're applying for, and then if it requires anything beforehand.
Okay. All right, let me actually just throw in one more because we have 1 minute with a student who had a question from Luxembourg before the webinar when signing up. If I have a British passport, but I'm residing in Luxembourg for the past 6 years, which fees would apply for me as a UK citizen or Luxembourg?
Okay, at Coventry University, and again, the leaflet was provided, so you're more than welcome to download it. We have the EU bursary support, or EU support bursary, which basically means up until May 2027, all EU students are subject to home fees. So it doesn't actually matter whether you're from Luxembourg, Cyprus, Greece, Germany, you'd
All right.
still pay home fees, or whether you had a British passport or not. And that's something that we've been able to extend until May 27. We're hoping next September we can ask our Vice Chancellor to be so generous again to extend it for a further 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So so because Luxembourg's based in the EU, if you've got a British passport, then yes, you would still qualify for home fees because you're still based within the EU and you have that British passport as well.
Okay.
Please do look at both of our university websites, because the information we're giving you now was prepared about a week in advance. So it could be that both of our university websites have changed in terms of scholarships and bursaries. So we always advise students to check out our websites, because that's updated very, very regularly, frequently.
Definitely, definitely. Well, big thank you to both of you for giving us such a detailed overview of studying in the UK as well as in Lancaster and Coventry. Thank you to all the students, and if we have any counselors or parents who joined today, for all your wonderful questions. I know we did not get a chance to answer all of them, but that is why Chris and Nasrin are available to answer via email. You see their emails over there. And do join us for our upcoming webinar series as well in the coming month. Thank you very much. Wishing you the best to both of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.